Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And today we have one of the stars of American Carnage with us, Bea Ortiz. Bea, thank you so much for being here with us. How you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about this chat. I don't know if you watched the interview yesterday with Julio and Diego. I loved the movie. I loved all the characters. You are by far one of the more fascinating characters as Mika in the movie. We'll be getting to that in a little bit. Just a reminder to all the viewers out there, American Carnage is coming out 1 week from today, July 15th, Friday, to select theaters across the country and video on demand. So you guys definitely got to check this out. So let's just jump right into it.
Do it.
Mika is, like I said, by far one of the most fascinating characters in American Carnage. How much did you know about your character during the audition process?
Um, uh, like I didn't know much about her. And what really stood out to me about this project was, well, after knowing that I booked the role and onboarding and moving forward with the project is Diego immediately reached out to me and to each and every one of us individually and started a conversation about our like an open dialogue about our characters immediately, even before we got to set.
Okay.
And that really stood out to me because it really set the precedent that what I was about to embark on and work on was a project that really valued artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like here was the first time that I'm not just showing up and just playing a part, that I'm actually, that someone's actually curious about how I want to approach the character and what ideas I have. And, an open discussion doesn't necessarily always mean that, the ideas that I have are the ones that we're going to move forward with. But I mean, that's what collaboration is all about. So I
Exactly.
think that honestly, the character of Mika was a joint effort, and that we really discovered who she was when, like, by trial and error.
So, Mika, I mean, after you booked the role and you saw and you spoke with Diego, Julio, and you got to see the full arc of this character, what were your thoughts on Mika?
I was a little hesitant at first, I'll say that much. Um, but then the more that I really, decided to take that advice that is given to most actors about not judging your characters,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to see it in a completely new lens where I saw that we both shared like a common start point where we're both white Latinx women,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to really use that as I guess that was the opening or the inception of me being able to like open my mind and imagination of what could my life look like if I made different choices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, when it did come time to shoot and you're on set, Mika is, the way it's described, is an American citizen with Argentinian heritage. What did you do? What kind of backstory did you create for Mika to help you play the role properly? Like, what put her into the circumstances that we first see her in the movie?
So the one of the reasons why I was immediately drawn to this project is because I'm an immigrant myself. My mom and I moved to the States when she was 25 and I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
So we were undocumented for a lot of my early life here in the United States, and I became a citizen at 17.
Mm-hmm.
So using that, that in my personal life and reading a script like this, and it was just kind of like a no-brainer. Like, how could I not do it and move forward, or even just audition for it in the beginning, because that's something that personally I'm very passionate about, and I've
Mm-hmm.
never seen the immigration like tackled in this kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I was able to really kind of put myself in the place of Mika as coming from immigrant parents, and there was a lot of crossover in that respect. Um, so that's I kind of use my personal life in order to kind of like as a starting place.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned Diego Julio reached out to all of you guys to have conversations. When you were shooting, did they give you guys a leeway to explore your characters, see what works, what doesn't work? I mean, how did it all play
Yeah,
out?
yeah, definitely. I would definitely describe both of them as like true artists, where they value collaboration, because I mean, whatever you see on screen, it's a joint effort of, you know, makeup, styling, special effects, you know, the director, the writer. There's so many hands involved in just the creation of one character, and throughout the whole entire process, it was really nice. Like even in terms of fittings and trying to find Mika's style and wardrobe,
Mm-hmm.
there were certain things that were presented to me that, you know, I didn't necessarily see fitting, and because they had established that open line of communication very early on, I felt very comfortable about saying, you know, I don't think that this is Mika's style, or like this is the realm. But how about this? But
Mm-hmm.
I always followed up with, you know, a solution, because you should never bring up a
A
problem or
problem,
something.
yeah.
You know, yeah, if you don't have something to kind of solve it. So yeah,
So your character is very vocal. When we guys are all sitting in the cafeteria in the detention center, of being, let's see, a left wing vegan democratic socialist. That is
yes.
how Mika describes herself. In your opinion, was that all designed to make her feel, make the character feel authentic?
I think so, but I also think it was intentional in the respect of, I see Mika as the type of like young woman who she really believes truly and passionately that everything that she does is for a better good,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be the objective truth or not. I think that she is one of those passionate individuals that is hungry to live for something that's bigger than herself. um, so I think that all of those adjectives or markers that she describes herself with is kind of it's about that, about being wanting to be a strong woman and a strong individual, and trying to do what's right, or at least what she thinks is right.
So, in your opinion, the ends justify the means for her, and whatever needs to be done, no matter how ugly, it needs to be done.
Yes.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now, you spoke about wardrobe. You wear a t shirt in the movie that says, I'm not a zombie, I don't eat flesh. Uh, we're not giving away any spoilers, but would you say this was a clever little Easter egg and foreshadowing into the coming events of the
Yes.
film?
Yes, 100%. Also, speaking of t-shirts, I want to say that I always love tuning in, because one of the things that I get excited about tuning in on your show is, what t-shirt is he going to wear today? What's he going to say? Like,
It's a
do you
process.
just
I
have like
tell
racks and racks of,
No, I go,
well,
who's my guest today? And I'm like, okay, does this work? I'm like, you know what? With Bea, I'm going to go with Jason Voorhees. I don't know why, but it was calling to me.
I like it. I like it.
Now, when you saw that shirt, the whole "I'm not a zombie, I don't eat flesh," what were your thoughts on that shirt that the wardrobe department picked out?
You know, I thought it was a little cheeky, I guess.
Uh huh.
But also it really streamlined with Mika's, I guess, like advocacy for, you know, being a vegan and being these things, and like taking a stance and getting behind like a cause. I feel like she is the type of person that once she decides that something is her belief or her perspective, she's gonna just, like essentially cover herself in that and not afraid of being too bold or too brazen
Yeah.
because of that.
And I mentioned this to Diego and Julio yesterday. A big factor as to why this movie works is how they brought in fresh young talent like yourself and a lot of the other cast members, as well as bringing in some veterans like Eric Dane. You shared some scenes with Eric. What was it like working with him and some of the other veteran cast members?
Yeah, I mean, initially when I first got the news that I was cast and we were moving forward, I was a little bit anxious because I was seeing the rest of the cast and like thinking that I'm not as seasoned as everyone else, and so I didn't really know how that would play out, like chemistry wise or anything on set or offset, but honestly everyone was so giving and really present, and I think a lot of it has to do with like the all of the principal cast. We are all Latinx artists
Mm-hmm.
and actors, and we all come from different backgrounds, so I think that because this project was so different and so unique, by like essentially saying yes and moving forward with it is taking on that responsibility of realizing that we are vessels to tell this important story that's not often even talked about or seen in the media in this
Mm-hmm.
kind of way. So just the rapport with everybody on set and like offset was really nice and really lovely, and I had a blast. I mean, we were in Madrid, for goodness sakes, for 2 months. Like
I mean,
that
yeah.
was a dream come true. Like I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna fly you out, come visit me. Like
That sounds awesome. Now, Mika and JP, who is played by Jorge, you guys have some very intimate moments in the film. Now, when it comes to let's American Carnage, and you and Jorge have these intimate moments, and you have to show that chemistry to the audience. Do you guys talk it through? In this instance, how did you and Jorge collaborate to make sure that it came across believable and that the audience felt the chemistry?
yeah, honestly, it was interesting because that was my first, I guess, like uh, big featured,
Mm-hmm.
like intimate, like on-screen kiss or anything like that. So I was kind of in the area where I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really have anything to compare it to. So go like I was a little bit nervous myself, but honestly, everyone on set was really great about having discussions with us in terms of boundaries and what we felt safe with, which I really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like him and I, we kind of took the approach of we didn't really do much discussing about it beforehand because in the scene, it's them kind of giving into this intimate moment for the first time. So it's not like the characters really had any kind of rapport about it. And I think that's kind of how we approached it in like real time in the scene, where it's two young people that are attracted to each other,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like it helped, I guess, that tension of like, okay, like is this gonna happen, is it not, like that flirtatious banter. And I think him and I, because we hadn't spoken about it before really, except like the few moments before like they called action, like kind of like giddy, like ooh, like we haven't done this before as like professional actors, so like what's gonna happen, it really like gave to that youthful kind of
That's great.
energy. Yeah,
Yeah, you guys didn't overthink it.
right,
You just
exactly, yeah.
you just sort of went with the flow. So when you saw the finished product, okay, when you saw American Carnage all packaged up, ready for the audience, first off, what were your thoughts overall on the film?
So I actually have not seen it. I have decided to like delay, the gratification, and I'm waiting with everybody else on July 15th to
Awesome.
watch it for the first time. So
Are you going
I
to
will
go
be
watch it at the big screen on the big screen?
definitely,
Of course,
definitely.
of course.
And I am going to be very dramatic about it because why not?
Now, this is a very big social political commentary film. And like I told the guys yesterday, if this was done 7 or 10 years ago, it would totally be in the realm of satire. But unfortunately, reality has become a lot scarier than fiction. This is a very important story. It needs to be told. And even the extreme parts that Julio and Diego push it to, it needs to go that way to sort of get the message across. What are your thoughts on the social political commentary of American Carnage?
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I was undocumented for a lot of my formative years, and I became a citizen at 17. And I think that a big point that I'm really passionate about is kind of changing the narrative of, I think that a lot of people have in their mind that people who are undocumented or illegal
Mm-hmm.
are coming into this country with the intention of not even like doing it
No.
the right way.
To rape,
Um,
pillage, and if you have to believe these right wing nuts, to cause all kind of havoc around
yeah,
the world. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But like from firsthand experience, the process is very hard. So
Mm-hmm.
you could be coming into this country and doing everything quote unquote the right way through the paperwork, but it's not just like going down to the DMV and it's like filling out some forms and boom, there you're an
Yeah.
immigrant, or you go from being an immigrant to a citizen. And I mean, my dad's a United States citizen.
Yeah.
I was born in Chile, and it's like a lot of people are like, oh, huh, like, did you not just get naturalized? Like, why didn't you just become just immediately a citizen? And I'm just like, because that's just not how it
Yeah.
works, or at least in our specific case, it's not how it works. And I mean, my mom, when it's a very familiar story to a lot of immigrants and first generation children, but my mom came here, when she was 25. She was young, she didn't know any English. She's like
Mm-hmm.
the youngest of 10 in her family and the only one to ever leave the country. And like they do that, and my mom did that for a better life for me first. So I feel like it's always the children first, and then eventually if my child can like have a good life, then I can
Yep.
follow suit. And my mom had to sacrifice a lot to come here. When my abuelito was sick, like her dad, who she was so close to, we couldn't even visit. She couldn't even attend the funeral
Wow.
because we were still undocumented.
Mm-hmm.
And it angers me so much how
Mm-hmm.
people don't even bother to, I guess, educate themselves, and it's almost like they just chalk it up to just being one thing. And if you're here and undocumented, then it must be because of evil reasonings,
Evil
or
intentions. Yeah.
yeah, evil
And
intent. Thank you. Yeah.
your story's not that different from mine. I'm the only one. My mother, my father, my brother were all born in Greece. I'm the first one to be born in the United States. I remember my family having to study to become naturalized citizens. You got to go to a courthouse, and
Yeah.
they'll ask you who's the president of the United States, and they'll ask you constitutional
And
questions.
it's expensive. It's an expensive
Yeah, yeah, and
process.
this is back in the '80s now, and my parents didn't know English, and this is on I put this on my mom, but she never really took the time. To this day, she cannot really put a full English sentence together because living in New York City, you could totally isolate yourself in your
Yeah.
ethnic community and so on. But yeah, it's a process, and a lot of people who are born in this country and are second, third, fourth generation don't understand that what America stands for is to come here and give yourself a better life, and that really seems to have been forgotten Now, going back to the movie, I mean, what was your overall experience working with the Halavis brothers? Uh, Working, seeing them together on the set, did they have good synergy with each other? Did they have good chemistry with the cast? How would you describe
Yeah.
that experience working with them?
I think that they exemplify just such a great working partnership. I know that like usually it's said that you shouldn't work with friends or families
Yeah.
or family members because of like they're the closest to you, so you can really push their buttons. But I feel like I hadn't known them prior, so I didn't know any history of how they worked together. But on set, just watching them. It seemed like they had very clear established boundaries and that it was a good workflow. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, looking at your resume, you started professionally like sometime in the 2016, 2015. You've done
Okay.
like
Yeah.
one other feature film, but looking back, will you say that this movie was like the big break that you needed in your career? And you're grateful to Diego and Julio for casting you, and it was such a great movie. It's such a great part for you, and you're just really excited, and you're gonna look back on this 5, 10 years when you're this big Hollywood star, and you're like, it was American Carnage that.
Good, John. So are you like saying the answer for me? Is this, are you like, am
Well,
I just supposed
I'm,
to
I'm
shake my
just
head and say yes?
yeah, I'm
Or
just going, doing a little fast
honestly?
forward 5, 10 years. I mean, do
No,
you
I mean,
see that?
this project will always hold a special place in my heart. At the time, I was living in Chicago, and it
Hmm.
was pre-pandemic. So most auditions were done in person, like the self, like now everything's self-tape. I
Yeah.
mean, look at us now. And so I had put myself on tape for it. And my manager, Carlos, he had sent me the audition. He was based in LA, and he sent me the audition. And I was really excited about it. I put myself on tape for it, and then when I booked it, it was just such a rewarding moment because at that time, Carlos had started his own business, I think 3 years prior,
Hmm.
and he took me on as a client. I have to do a shout out here though, because the only reason that Carlos is my incredible, amazing manager is because his wife has me. I met her at 14 years old. We went to high
Wow.
school together in Bakersfield, California.
That is so cool.
So she introduced us, and this was the first project that I booked with his hard work and labor being my manager. And I really think that managers and agents, it's sometimes a thankless job
Yeah.
because they're out there working so hard for you every single day and pitching you, and they don't get paid unless we book something
Exactly.
and we get paid. And so I just remember when I got the news, I was just like so happy, and I was crying, and I was on the phone with him, and I'm just like, thank you so much for really just seeing something and believing in me, because especially going from a big company and then starting your own business, you're one person. So
Exactly.
the talent that you take
It's like the
on.
Jerry. I don't know if you've seen Jerry Maguire, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the Jerry Maguire story. Yeah.
Exactly. And so then like I know that, having not booked anything in that time of working with him, I'm taking essentially somebody's place that might be, booking something every single week
Yeah.
and putting money in his pocket. But I mean, I think that's what really sets him apart as a manager, is that he really believes in representing
He
like
believes in you.
minority, yeah, and just people that are not equally represented, and
Hmm.
he wants to uplift those voices. So this, definitely, just even from that, and then just moving forward with the project and seeing how collaborative everything was, it was really rewarding, as an artist. So it will always hold a special place in my heart. So
Uh,
everything that you said, yes, my answer is yes.
That is
That's
awesome. That's a beautiful story. So one last question before we go. Now, when the movie
what?
comes,
Just one more?
when the movie comes out next week, and Mika is seen by a lot of people, uh, people are going to walk away. We're not giving any away. We're not giving away any spoilers, but people are going to walk away. Are you at all fearful that Mika is going to be misunderstood, or what we see on the screen? That's what Mika really is. That's all she is. There's no hidden story there. The Mika that we're going to see is the real Mika. What are your feelings on that?
Um, oh, well, I don't know how to really navigate this without like getting like too into the
I
spoiler
know.
category, but I think that I mean, there's something to be said about, like not judging your characters as what, actors set out to do when they first take on a role. And I feel like as audience members, I think that every single person or character in a story has its purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, human beings, we're all very complex. And I don't think that it's not necessarily black and white where you can say, one person is ultimately all good or
Yeah.
another is all bad. I think that we're a combination of a lot of things. And I hope
But
that,
you can tell the audience that Mika truly believes in what she's doing.
yeah, I think that she truly believes in what she's doing, which is it's very interesting, in terms of these types of characters, to kind of have that understanding, because then I feel like it makes them very human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gives way, it opens a door for empathy,
Yeah.
because I think that in our own daily lives, if we're just so quick to completely write someone off as just inherently being one type of way, you're really doing yourself a disservice in terms of like humanity and
Yeah.
human connection, because I think that uh, everyone has redeemable qualities,
Mm-hmm.
and there's so many things that we're continually working on as people. And yeah, I don't think it's necessarily right to completely write someone off of, not available or giving them any kind of redemption
Yeah.
at any point in their life.
Yeah.
I think as a culture and a society, especially with cancel culture, there's
Mm-hmm.
also something to be said of allowing people to learn and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And if you completely write off somebody for one thing that they did, then I think it goes into territory that for children, especially, and like youth growing up in this culture, in this technological world,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of kids even just be scared
Yeah.
to do or say anything,
Mm-hmm.
or to voice any kind of opinions of their own, for fear that maybe one day it will no longer be right. And I think that, especially on the subject of children, it's you're taking away their sense of kind of like, identity, or trying to figure out
Who they are.
who they are in,
Yeah.
in the world of their own. And I know, as like, as a kid and, a preteen, especially like having gone to very religious schooling, there are things that at a 14-year-old that I thought that is completely so different from the
Oh yeah.
person that I am today and that I've grown into being. And yeah, I think that we need to be very compassionate,
And not
with our
and not
youth,
try to put
especially.
and not try to put everybody in a box. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not all about that.
exactly.
And you answered to that beautifully, tiptoeing around the spoiler landmines. I want to thank our guest Bea
No,
Ortiz for joining us today. Again, the movie is coming out a week from today, July 15th, in theaters and video on demand. It's called American Carnage. I'm given this my 100% recommendation. That's why we've
Oh
had
God.
two back-to-back guests from the movie itself. We got to hear from the writers and directors. We got to hear from the star of one of the stars of the movie today. Check it out. You're going to love this movie. It's great, and there'll be twists and turns you won't see coming. Bea, do you have any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
Um, Thank you so much for having me on as a guest.
My pleasure. My
I
pleasure.
feel like I discovered, you know, certain things in retrospect and in reflection in my conversation with you. So thank you.
Yeah, that's my pleasure. It was, I can't believe, let's see, we're well past 30 minutes. Thank you so
Damn
much
it.
to Bea. This has been a great interview. I want to thank our audience, those who are tuning in live, and those who are going to watch this later on. On behalf of Bea Ortiz and myself, stay safe, stay walking. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Ciao.